It is on the distortion of Hindu ethos in our education system. And very, very quickly, if you take a look at the social studies textbooks used, whether in India or elsewhere, we ask some questions. Are the textbooks aligned with Indic values? Do they show historical, social, cultural foundations of India's civilization? Is history or social and cultural evolution analyzed in the larger frameworks of the ideal form and contextual explanation of its practical evolution? Unfortunately, what we see is a conflict model. So has the conflict model, oppressor-oppressed model, in discourses on social dynamics allowed any of these over here? So the failure to bring in a systems perspective of cohesive viewing of India's internal dynamics, bringing out our underlying framework of unity in the civilization, has resulted in severe distortions today. So in all the textbook reviews that I have done, whether in India or over here, I worked on 2 states in India, Telangana as well as Andhra Pradesh, and the NCRT textbooks in India, and here in the United States on the Texas Education Agency's textbooks and so on. So what we find common factors are factual errors, semantic distortions, suppression of facts. All these result from the use of inimical frameworks, and these obscure the truth about our civilization. So I hope this panel will talk about all of these things. Very quickly, to set the stage, how is India presented in the AP, this advanced placement, world history in the schools in Maryland? So recently I gave a talk in Maryland on how their textbooks are used over there. So it turns out that these are all the worthies who have reviewed this textbook. And we got a very precious 4 pages that talks about India, right? From page 23 to page 26, they talk about India, and I'd like to see what they talk about. So in just a few lines, we are seeing factual errors in accepting Aryan migration theory as a fact, suggesting that these Aryans brought with them the scriptures, what they call Vedic literature, into India, going against the established linguistic theories themselves that say that the Vedic literature was composed in India. So it goes even against that. Such factual errors are there in the AP World History in Maryland taught today to kids. So in the very few lines that they discuss Abrahamic beliefs, they use very respectful beliefs like followers of this faith, for example, and 2 other faiths, Christianity and Islam. But when it comes to Indians, it's a belief called Hinduism, and things of this nature. So there is a establishment of a power in the words they use. The semantics used over here give a subliminal understanding to kids. Very impressionable kids, have them in your mind when you see all these things. So they choose to demonize Sanatana Dharma with these things. And similarly, we see, for example, in how they talk about religion in South Asia, what they call South Asia. Hindus pray to many gods, Islam is monotheistic, and so on. Hinduism associates hierarchical caste system. Islam is called for equality of all beliefs. They say arrival of Islam. Islam did not arrive, they invaded. So you see the choice of words used over here is very, very so on. And they eventually took on a more peaceful approach. From the best understanding of history that I have, all the way from the Sultanates to Aurangzeb, there were only conflicts. There were no peaceful approach at any point in time. And we see that Islam attracted low-caste Hindus who hoped that conversion will improve their social status. And even further, while talking about Buddhism and how Islam destroyed Buddhism, see how they attached false equivalence over here. Corruption among the monks and raids on monastery by early Muslims left Buddhist religion disorganized. So to cover up the fact that Islam has destroyed Buddhism, they attach a rider to that, saying the monks were corrupt. How on earth did they arrive at something like that? But unfortunately, this is the kind of nonsense that our kids are learning in schools. And there's a simple examples I'm pulling out over here. And this continues on. If you take a look at the arrival of Islam, obviously inequitable when it comes to the so-called caste system. They call these people as migrants, not as invaders. And for example, over here, people who try to escape the grip of caste system failed. Look at the choice of words. Grip of caste system, implying an antagonistic approach over here, right? Oppressor-oppressed kind of wording over here. And the low-caste Hindus who converted Islam as a way to improve did not achieve that goal, and so on and so forth. And over here, South Asia, women in the Hindu tradition were confined to a separate social sphere, and Islamic women received similar treatment. So while talking about the women's treatment in Islam, it was necessary to tag them on to supposed bad treatment of Hindu women over here, rather than talking about Islam on its own grounds. So this is the kind of nonsense you see, manufacturing of falsehoods and false equivalences and things like this. So these are all the kind of errors. It's not obvious on a simple reading, but then when you look at it with a critical eye, you see the kind of drishti, the biases that the writers have come with to try and say all of these things. A casual reader would not catch these things. But then take a look at what they intend to communicate to your kids, to your teenagers. This is the nonsense they will internalize. So on. I'm not going to labor the point over here. It's this demonization continues and so on over here. And even the exercises, there are multiple choice question. And what they choose to have over here is a quotation by Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni is very famous for an observation of Indians saying how proud these people are about all their learning and so on and so forth. They don't care to know about the outside world. So they repeated that verbatim, and the questions want to question the kids on that to show that Indians are stagnant. They don't want to talk with the others and so on. My question is, you have 4 pages to present India. We have a reasonable expectation of presenting the best of India. Instead, we see repeated attempts at demonization. In this exercise, what was selected is a criticism that Al-Biruni made of Indians. Why do you choose to highlight a negative? Is there nothing positive to share in India in 4 pages? You have 4 pages, 4 pages. And what do you choose to highlight? What kind of editors are responsible for this? Are they malicious? Are they ignorant? What exactly is going on over here? These are the questions you as parents and grandparents need to ask, because your kids are learning this nonsense over here. Clear attempt by textbook writers and editors at negative portrayal, demonization, and so on. And similarly, there's one more short answer questions where they're taken this Vetala stories over here, and then they choose to highlight this obligatory reference to sati. That comes over here. So once again, attempting to portray women in a poor light. And I call this the curse of presentism. Presentism is a way of looking at history through the value systems of the present are projected into the past. So this is the way they have judgmental views of the past. And the obligatory reference to sati, no editorial comments on what a rare phenomenon, how this is selectively amplified by British. Bottom line, indoctrination is present everywhere. So summary of AP world history is indoctrination. In 4 pages, we see evidence of demonization of Hindus, softening of Islam's savagery, false equivalences, errors, manufacturing of factoids, erasure of facts, semantic distortions, deliberate negative portrayals to indoctrinate. All this impacts identity of Indian Americans and Hindus negatively. I hope I've just been able to show you 4 pages. This is what the kids in Maryland are learning. And so what we're seeing is an unsatisfactory historiography of India. You can ask, why are the narratives so negative on India? So we see that, I've talked about this in my talks exhaustively, that we have an evidence-based history, and that shows something diametrically opposite to this questionable narrative of history that's pushed in our textbooks, whether it's NCERT or elsewhere. This is what people are learning. And all this goes back to the frameworks imposed on our historiography, the writing of history. What we see is Indians have been happy with the notion of Sthala Purana, the Itihasas, our family genealogies. This has been our understanding of history for the longest time. But the British, they brought about this notion of history where they started the colonial perspective, the desire to show Indians as backward, primitive, stagnant, superstitious, evil Brahmins, and the British as forward, progressive, technologically advanced, and so on and so forth. So this is the kind of narrative they came with. And they were followed by the Eurocentric people who wanted to address why are Latin, Sanskrit, and Greek related, those languages are related. And so the whole field of linguistics was born with a whole lot of ideas over there, trying to push a certain Eurocentric narrative over there. Followed by the missionaries who always wanted to convert Indians wherever they went. Southern India, they wanted to convert all of Southern India to Christianity. And one way is to alienate them from the mother religion, right? So you are Dravidians and they are Aryans. The racial theory came in handy over there. Then the socialist academic bias. Ever since India got independence, 1947, Nehruvian socialism has been imposed on the country. And we have the Marxist view from 1971, and these are controlling our history. So what Dr. Kundan was talking in the morning, we have a toxic colonial plus missionary plus Eurocentrism narratives, people like James Mill, people like Macaulay and others. We are aware of the kind of things they say about. Kundan will talk more about this. And the socialist and Marxist ideologies, they too destroy the identity and history. All this derives from Karl Marx. Karl Marx lived at a time in Europe when it was industrializing, and he saw the exploitation of the workers by the factory owners. So he came about this kind of a theory that history is a history of class struggles. He envisioned a time when the workers would rise in a bloody revolution, kill off all the ruling classes, and establish a equitable, classless, utopian society, right? That's what he saw. Now, there's no difference between socialism and communism, but there's a slight difference. While socialism sees a violent revolution as the harbinger of change, in socialism, it's a less rigid, more flexible ideology. They want to see change and reform through democratic process. That is why you see that the Congress Party in India since 1947, constitutional laws were brought about to throttle the whole Sanatan Dharma. Even today, we got laws like that designed within the constitution to kill off whatever you see. And the architect of that is Jawaharlal Nehru, who was a member of the Fabian Society in Great Britain of those times. So in 1947, we inherited this. And in 1971, his daughter, Indira Gandhi, for political survival, she made a pact with the devil, over here, the communists, who said in return for supporting her in the parliament, they wanted the HRD, education sector. Nurul Hassan was appointed, and he created and appointed this entire ecosystem. All these bodies were set up, and in 50 years, they completely eradicated the non-socialist, non-Marxist scholarship in India. So from 1970 till now, there's simply nobody anywhere can talk on the Indic side, right? It's completely erased out thanks to the scholarship. So bottom line, these are not new things that have been going on for quite some time. I'll skip these slides over here. And this is the NCERT textbook as of today in that 12th standard, if I'm not mistaken, standard 11. And even today, I just took one page out of it and I could make so many points. These are all the problems in just one page of the NCERT book that we have over here. Several factual errors. So bottom line, I'll stop at this point and open it up to the panel. We are seeing a common issue, whether it's NCERT textbooks or state textbooks or the textbooks in the United States, erasure of Hindu periods, smaller sections, omission of content. We are viewing Hindu periods as oppressive, erasure of Islamic issues, and a false narrative of benevolence shown as a smooth, completely erasing Hindu resistance in every period of time. Failure to discuss in context. There's a piecemeal approach rather than looking at things in a systems perspective. All of the Hindu social structures are demonized. Only the Marxist conflict model is used, the oppressor-oppressed model, and there's a failure to build a cohesive identity. So these are what we have identified as some of the issues that plague the education system, whether it's in India or the US. We have a dominant Marxist, socialist, missionary, colonial perspective imposed on our education system, even today. And those challenges must take place in conferences like this and elsewhere, and we're going to take it forward.